Dear viewers, welcome to the show. It is the Business X-Ray, of course, with partners. Here we're talking about Enterprise Uganda, about ABI, we're talking about Minister of Finance, and we're talking about Uganda Insurance Association. I'm your host, Charles Boji, and today we have a very, very interesting topic, which I'm sure is actually going to be quite developmental to you, especially who is quite business-minded. We have an expert in the studio who's going to be taking us through that topic, which I'm sure you've all seen flashed on your screens. But before I go there, we'll take a recap of what we discussed last week, which was again another very, very important topic for discussion. Now, again, our commitment is to give you practical information, practical knowledge and skills, of doing business. And we're picking this, the practical aspect in this is we bring you people who are doing it, the actual players in their spaces. Now we bring the entrepreneurs, but at the same time we also bring the experts that are giving particular knowledge areas, that share particular knowledge areas for business, for entrepreneurship. Now in the studio today, to discuss the topic that we have, I have Noah Omgisha. Noah is from ABI, so I'll let him introduce himself fully to know what he does. Noah.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Noah Omgisha. I work for ABI. ABI is an abbreviation for Agricultural Business Initiative, which is a social enterprise that is in Uganda to support competitiveness and growth of agribusiness.
Thank you very much, Noah. We'll get back to that. Now, again, I have to apologize. Charles is not here with us today, but he'll be joining us next Sunday. We'll have him. And again, next Sunday, I have to emphasize, we're going to bring on board another very interesting story from an entrepreneur who is actually benefiting from some of these services we are discussing. Last week, just to bring you to speed, those that missed the show last week, we were talking about insurance, we're talking about life insurance, for that matter, we're talking about pensions. And from the discussion, just to give you a digest, we were looking at how life insurance products can expand your investment portfolio. So when you're looking at assets, you have goats here, you have real estate here, you've invested in stock, you've invested in government paper, securities, you can add life insurance products. We talked about annuities and others as part of your investment portfolio. So it was a very interesting way to look at other investment vehicles that you as a business person you can look at. Then we also talked about the fact that an insurance policy or cover is a must-have for someone in business. It's very, very important because it can determine your survival or demise from your operations at a certain point in time. So and if you look closely to the discussion that we're going to have today, which is really anchored on business development services, and for that matter we're looking at the value of the internal business controls. We have the expert in the house, but I would like to attempt to say that these are very, very important for businesses. At the beginning of this show with Charles Ochichi here and me, we were emphasizing the importance of structuring our business operations as business people. Because we all know that line where we say that Uganda is an entrepreneurial country. At some point, there were very many years where Uganda was ranked among the highest entrepreneurial country, in the world. But again, we also know that the mortality rate for business is also equally high. Now, today we want to find out how you can structure your business, because part of the reasons why we have that high mortality rate is mainly because most of our operations are not structured. Most of our operations remain informal. You find someone with a business, but they cannot define it for you. They cannot define certain aspects of that business for you, the management structure, the financial structure, because it's all done, here and there. So today, Noah is going to really take us through a very important topic, like I said, which is the value of internal business controls. But before we go into that, Noah, I'm sure our viewers want to know what specifically you do at ABI, and then a bit of broadly, add some bit of flesh of what ABI does.
Thank you. ABI is a group of two companies. One is ABI Finance, the other one is ABI Development. Under ABI Development, mainly what we do is offering matching grants. And matching grants, I mean, ABI gives you a contribution for what you're doing, which you've come to seek support in, and then you also contribute your own amount. So I can give an example. If you're in dairy, and maybe you have an issue with the quality of your milk, and you say, I want to have, or we as farmers, for example, we are a cooperative, we need a milk cooler. So ABI can contribute an amount, and you also contribute an amount to have that kind of equipment that you need to solve your business challenge as an institution that has approached ABI. But we do it for all actors. We take a value chain approach, and we have 5 core value chains on the ABI development side. One being cereals, that looks at all grain cereals. We have pulses, we have dairy, we have horticulture, and then we have oil seeds. Oil seeds again looks at all seeds from which we can get oil. So that's that's under ABI development. That's what we do. But we also have cross-cutting, what we call cross-cutting value chains, which look at things which may appeal to all value chains, but which are important. For example, inputs. So you'll find us supporting agribusinesses or business entities into inputs, not specifically for a certain value chain, but because inputs are needed across all value chains. On the ABI finance side, this is mainly the side of ABI that works with financial institutions, mainly, where in this case we are trying to avail financing through, again, industry actors, financial institutions for all tiers, circles, banks, and other financial institutions which are licensed to do business in that space, to, again, enable those value chain actors like farmers, like processors, like exporters, to access the finance they need to do the trading that they are doing. So ABI has products such as lines of credit, has agricultural loan guarantees. We have also financial services development, which we are offering, which is mainly also a bit of capacity building, mostly for financial institutions which are on their way to growing to what they want to be. So they may not be having very serious or strong systems that they need, for example, to meet the demands of the people who bank with them or who save with them or are taking loans. So when they come to us, like we do with the other value chain actors who are on the production and marketing side of commodities, on the side of the financial institutions, we work through the financial services development product of ours to empower and support the financial institutions to grow and also get to the level that they can perform to their best.
Well, thank you, Noah. And I'm sure our viewers have picked a thing or two, because, one of the most common questions that we normally get on this show is about finances, where you have an entrepreneur is saying, I have a very interesting business here, brilliant idea, or maybe I've even started operations. Where do I get the money? It's now like a song, to some entrepreneurs, lack of, some people call it cheap capital, but I doubt whether there's anything like cheap resources, but maybe affordable. Viewers, you've heard, of course, ABI supports a number of value chains within the agribusiness subsector, and Uganda is an agro-based economy. In fact, if you look at most of our businesses, a number of them are actually anchored on agriculture. I think that's right, Noah.
Yes, true. If you want to know what drives the economy, you look for where most people are employed. Period. And agri takes it. I think there is no a lot of discussion. Everyone knows the biggest employer in Uganda is agriculture. But though most people, of course, are in it for money, which makes it agribusiness. And that's why at ABI we say agribusiness is our business. That's why when you look at our logo, the B is capital. At the acronym of the institution, the B is in capital letters to signify that agribusiness is our business. The A is small, the B is big, the I is small.
That's interesting.
So that's exactly what we are trying to
to communicate,
to emphasize as an institution which is here to promote growth and competitiveness of agribusinesses.
I hear you. Now, viewers, we have that number on screen. It's our WhatsApp number. And then at the end of the interface, or towards the end, we'll be, picking your calls, because we want you to ask as many questions as possible. We'll be, interested in having your comments as we move on in the discussion. Now, in our bumper, that advert that we ran throughout the week, because I had a couple of friends asking me about it, and they were like, okay, internal controls, you can lose money, you risk procuring badly, and all these other kinds of things. Now, you're the expert, Noah, in the house. Help us understand, for starters, what are we talking about when we say internal controls for business?
Internal, we can start from the controls and then maybe we add the internal word later. It simply means everything you use within the institution,
Actually,
within the limits.
It's business controls.
Exactly, within the limits of the business, to ensure that you are in control of what you are doing as an institution. So that is what we are basically looking at. It could be regulations, it could be policies, it could be systems, it could be guidelines, it could be other tools that you're using within the organization to ensure that what you do it right, and at the end of the day, you realize your prime objective for your existence, which is making profit.
Yes.
So that's what basically internal controls are about. If therefore you do not have them, you have no control of the business. So any day as a businessman or businesswoman, when you wake up and you're like, I think I'm not in charge of my business anymore, or there are things that are happening which I cannot control, especially when they are within the institution, then your internal controls are lacking.
I hear you.
So perhaps in the course of the show, we'll be able to break down some of those, whether they relate to processes, whether they relate to your programs or products as an institution, whether they relate to the people you work with or who are working for you, or whether they relate to the way you're procuring your plans as an institution. We'll be able to delve into them, and then each one or each business can be able to appreciate perhaps where they are strong and where they need to improve.
Indeed, on that note, because I'd like to really look at, when you talk about internal controls, I mean, what are we talking about? Are we, if we to do a breakdown, because someone will say, well, I have my business plan, or I have very good stuff that I hired. Another one will tell you, I know my business in my head. I mean, it's within me. I've done this thing for 20 years, for 30 years, I know what I'm doing. We hear that a lot, especially with sole proprietors.
Yes.
Break for us down, which aspects of internal controls are we talking about?
Okay, so you highlighted a business plan as an example. So we can start with that.
Okay.
A business plan is like a Bible for the business. It starts from, on the cover page of it, you see the name of the institution, you see when the life of that business plan, 2020 to 2025, you see it inducts you to what the company is doing. When you enter, you go in, the first preliminary pages show you vision, mission, and as you go deeper, they get into details of the products and services they are making, the targets for those 5 years that the business plan is running. For example, they are able to show you how much they intend to produce or sell, how much money will be realized from what they intend to produce and sell, and how that money will be shared, for example, ultimately by the people, by the staff and by the investors who are putting money in that company. But this is, for example, where business plans become important, but so become interesting. We've found out that most people have business plans for prestige or to show to those who need them. So you'll find this may not apply actually so much to the multi-billion entities, but let me take it, for example, in the agribusiness space. Let me take it to the producers and
a mill somewhere.
Yes,
or something.
yes, at district or at region or even at national level. So you find someone has a business plan because ABI needs it.
Yeah.
As part of the requirements for applying for a grant, you must have a business plan. You must attach it when you're planning.
Yeah.
You're applying rather. So the person hires a consultant to make for them a document which they will show to whoever wants to see it. So that this institution can get, or company can get what they want from this person who's looking at it. But they are not using it.
It happens a lot when people are applying for loans from banks.
Yes, because the bank needs it. Next time, if it is needed by government of Uganda or URA for renewal of your trading license, they'll have it ready. So what happens is we do not then utilize it. That's why I equated it to something like a Bible or a Quran, something you need to read to nourish you as a believer, depending on which faith you have. So when you do that, business plan is not for something for putting on the shelf. It's something that you use so that it starts guiding you from the 1st of January to the 31st of December. And this is how it happens. If I have it for 5 years, then it means my work plan for the year, for 2020, say it's for 2021 to 2025. My work plan for 2021 must be a caption of 1 year from my business plan.
Yeah.
Which then gives responsibility to everybody.
Yeah.
The board of the institution knows what the company has set out to achieve. The managers of the institution know what they are managing to achieve. The workers under each of the departments know what their roles are because they have a business plan which has determined how their work plan will look therefore for the 1 year that they are in, the actual year they are implementing, and then the staff and machines and money and systems are following suit. Now, when you have the other document for cosmetic purposes or for prestige purposes or for showing to people who come to visit, then you automatically have to get mismatches within the institution.
Yes.
So you find one department is doing things of their own, but they have a business plan they should be following. In fact, you even visit some institutions and their business plan has expired. They don't know, and they don't know it has expired.
Because it was done for a different purpose, not for
using to run the operations of the institution on a daily basis.
You know, when you mention institutions, because we have a number of small and medium enterprises and micro operators watching us, you know, it begs a question of at what level of operation or what size should I be to start thinking business plan?
Oh, thanks.
Does size matter?
That is, I think, the most critical question. You need a business plan before you start anything.
Okay.
Yes. Because before you put down a single coin of yours as an investor or as an entrepreneur, you must know why you're putting it down. And that one is only spelled out in the business plan. The other place it exists, which is not a paper, is the mind of you who has started the business. Now, remember, not everyone knows your vision. Not everyone knows your mission. Not everyone knows how you're operationalizing your vision and mission to arrive at what you want to achieve. So writing this down allows everybody you're bringing in to be able to know their role. So if I'm in the production department, I know how many tons I need to produce. If I'm in the marketing department, I know how many tons I need to market. If I'm a support staff, I know when I need to open the business premises because people have to come in and work based on the other targets we have for the year. So it allows you to set up things and also manage them the way you want to achieve your business objectives. Short of that, it becomes a scene where people interact. I wouldn't be comfortable calling it a business because you're not in control, remember.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why for most businesses, if especially you meet them and ask them, so how much money do you make? The first answer is, it depends. Because there is no clarity. Even from the founder of the business's point of view, he is not sure of how much he is planning to make, how much money he's planning to make that year. Yes. So he'll tell you, my ambition my aspiration as a business founder. But he may not be in position to say, we are starting at 50,000 tons,
to this,
but we intend to hit 200,000 tons by 2025 as we grow at a rate of 50% per year.
Very good. Now, it's a very good starting point, really. How does this then, that plan we talked about, fit? But maybe before we go into the area of internal business controls, again, do we have different types of plans? I mean, for instance, if, especially for the fairly bigger entities and institutions, should the plan, that is designed for operations be the same plan that, for instance, the board of an organization should have? Because we encourage our SMEs to actually have boards, have structures, and that kind of thing. I mean, because someone will tell you, I have a plan, and it's the thing you will want everyone else to actually be implementing. I mean, how is that?
So plans cascade. For example, if I'm a group of companies, I can have a strategic plan which is big, which covers all the product lines or all the other aspects of the business under there. But for example, each sub company or each business or product line can have its own business plan, which means therefore, if you're having a CEO or a group CEO, then perhaps each manager under there has a plan that is specific to targets of their department or of their wing of operations, that is clear on stuff they need under. Even policies may differ. For example, the policies for managing a financial institution are different from policies for managing a non-financial institution. A fleet business. If I'm a financial institution, Bank of Uganda is going to come in to regulate. If I'm a processor of milk, national
the dairy authority.
Dairy authority is going to come in. If I'm within coffee, then I have UCDA, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, coming in also to check on what I'm doing. So you realize I may have a strategic plan that talks about what I do within coffee, what I do within dairy, what I do within the financial services that I offer as an institution. But then I have, for example, a specific business plan for each of those, which feed into the bigger strategic plan. So, and even within that business plan, you'll have smaller plans. For example, we've looked at strategic plan, a broader business plan for example, one of the product lines you have, but you'll find that, for example, the manager for production under coffee has a plan of his. Feeding into the plan, again, for the marketing manager, who says, I have to market this. Where am I marketing? Uganda segment is taking this. International segment is taking this. Maybe I have specialty coffees, Arabicas from the mountainous areas, Kasese and maybe Kigezi and Mount Elgon area, specialty coffees, or these are organic. So you have plans go down up to the last man in the institution. But what is clear is that everybody should be feeding into a plan, implementing one and feeding into another, so that at the end of the day, the organization is able to achieve its main objective.
Okay. Thank you, Noah. I think we will at some point come back to the area of planning, because I know there are some who will tell you, you know what, you guys use a lot of English in this thing. It's planning everywhere. Me, I began, I'm working, and my business is growing. But anyway, I'm sure viewers have picked a thing or two about that preamble. Now, moving to internal controls, just break them for us, because we talked about looking at specifically what these controls are.
Okay, so the business plan is one example of a tool you use to control the operations of an institution. Let's go, for example, to manuals. You have teams in an institution. It could be the board, it could be management, it could be support staff, it could be program staff.
And here we're talking about the people.
Yes. So you need an HR policy to guide how each one plays their part and also how they interact with each other. So that is also another example of an internal control. What I've mentioned is specific to HR. But everything you do, be it procurement, be it managing of finances of the institution, be it managing of the fleet, be it management of opening and closing of business premises, you must have guidelines that determine. If those guidelines are not there or they are not robust, then company assets and resources are prone to abuse. For example, if I don't have a clear fleet management policy that says a vehicle should be parked by 6 p.m. unless if it is out on official duty, it therefore means the user of the vehicle can take it and go for a party that ends at midnight. What if that vehicle gets a problem? Or I can take it for campaigns. I can go and support my brother who's campaigning because the vehicle is fueled, it is so nicely serviced, it is okay. It can carry a lot of people if it is an SUV. So I may decide to take it and follow my brother for campaigns. And then what happens? If there are riots and the vehicle is vandalized, then how do we deal with that? So you need therefore internal controls that are directed to and affect every aspect of the institution, so that as the company processes, company the people you work with, company policies and the people within them and the stakeholders are safe, and also the money is put to good use.
No, I want us to be a bit slow now to go back on that, because I try to do a bit of a split here, because I know some of our viewers here, watch us with pen and paper. Because we, promise that this is an educational literacy program or session. Of course, you talked about people, you talked about finances, you brought in the aspect of procurement. Now I want us to go bit by bit. By people, what kind of controls are we looking at? And what are the benefits that are likely to come out of this? And what do you stand to lose as a business operator if you don't have good controls of the people, human resource that you have?
So the most, to start with, the most important control at that point and the tool to use to enforce those controls on the people management side is your human resource management policy. The advantage of this policy is that it's a combination of the aspirations of the institution, but it also takes care of the statutory requirements. So where the human resource management policy clarifies to everyone in the institution, for example, on how people are brought into the institution.
How do you hire?
Yes. It's not about someone is my son, someone is my daughter. No. Or is my friend, or I like him, or I don't like him. No. The human resource management policy will say, will say when, for example, you want to hire staff, this is how it starts. Maybe the department will say we need, NTV will say we need Charles, because we have a show which he can host. Now, Charles, I mean the personality, not the individual. Then, of course, the job description is drawn, and then the same policy will say, once you have the job description and has been signed up by those, by those in authority within the institution, you should advertise. So again, it is not about you meeting someone on the street and says, come, let's work, there is an opportunity here. You can tell them there is an opportunity, but you will encourage them to go and apply to an advert, following an advert which is running, either on social media or in the national newspapers or on TV. The same policy will determine how you will interview the people and how you will award a contract, how you will remunerate the person, how many hours they are going to work, what is required in case they are doing a job which has some risks where they need safety gear. The same HR policy is going to describe how that should be done. So there is no guesswork at that point. And it doesn't matter who is the manager recruiting.
It's well defined.
Yes, even if you're hired tomorrow as a human resource manager for this institution with a policy, you will read the policy, they will show you people they are trying to hire even in the middle of the process of hiring, and you bring them in. It does not stop there, however. It also shows you how you fire or how you retire people safely without getting sued and the rest. So this is the beauty of internal controls. They are just not things to make the institution look nice and neat.
And no, that's a very important point, because I saw,
sorry
to cut you short,
please.
I saw what happened in the middle of the pandemic.
Yes.
Because a number of businesses were, hit quite hard, especially people that sit within the tourism area, the people that sit within the education subsector. And at some point, the managers and the owners had to make a decision to lay off some people. And it became extremely, extremely hard because, and I would imagine that even some of these bigger institutions, maybe they don't have well thought out policies on how to fire people, because you saw some blowbacks with, a couple of people wanting to run to court and that kind of thing. So it was like really riding a wild horse.
Exactly.
Quite important there.
Exactly. So it's not, that's why we were emphasizing that it's not a feel-good thing.
Yeah.
It's a be safe thing. Internal controls allow you to be safe with every decision you make on a daily basis. So for example, if you have a human resource management policy that, for example, has a clause, for example, which says, if the business is no longer able to pay staff, then this is how we lay them off. And that process is duly followed. Remember, whatever you do as an institution should be in line with the Constitution of Uganda. So at that point, your HR policy also draws from what the Constitution says about hiring and firing people. So no one is going to sue you. You'll give them, if it says give them 1 month notice, for those who have been working with you for up to 10 years, then that's what you do. And you also notify them. Yeah, because even if you wanted to maintain them, where are you going to get the money to pay them anyway? But the issue is no one should say I was victimized.
Yeah.
So policies help you to do that, and that's HR.
Good.
There are other policies, procurement, and
I wanted us to actually go to the financial aspect before we come to procurement. And I'm sure viewers have really picked a thing or two out of this, and I'm seeing a couple of questions coming in, in a number of these, but we'll try to summarize them at a certain point. So finances, which controls are we looking at, and why it's important? Why is it important to have those controls there?
The financials, the financial management or finance policy usually looks at broader things, because, for example, that's why you have money which is in cash at the premises of the institution. You also have money which is in other assets, which are also where it could be cash at the institution or even cash at bank, but you also have other equivalents of cash. You could have, you have purchased some assets, you have vehicles moving, they have money worth in them, you have property as an institution, you have working capital, you have stock in the stores. So the finance or financial management policy has to take care of that. How do you acquire what you're acquiring? How do you maintain it? How do you dispose it without losing value? Actually, you'll even find some institutions merging the finance and procurement, because the functions are more closely interlinked. Finance is looking at the money, but procurement is looking at what you do with the money. With the money
when it comes in, or when you're expending it.
So the same policy is going to tell you, for example, let me use an example of a few of the most abused things, like petty cash. So the policy is going to be clear. To say we cannot, the institution or the accountant or the finance manager or the financial controller must maintain petty cash of 2 million shillings only. Why? They are avoiding risks such as office premises were broken into and $1 billion was taken. But they are also avoiding temptations to the people who have the password to the safe and the key to the drawer where the money is kept from, you know, buying some onions on their way home, or tomatoes or food or any other foodstuffs in anticipation that they'll return the money when salary comes. So you see the use of such a policy. But again, when it comes back to controlling the business operations, anyone in that department does not need a manager calling them before a payment is made, because they know how the payment should be handled. They know how a requisition should be prepared. They know which people should sign on that requisition before a payment is made. They know once the signatures have been made, how the money is paid, whether it is a cash over the counter or whether it is a check to the bank or an electronic transfer. So you find all those details engraved within or contained within that policy, the finance policy. And so then you're sorted. You only now remain with the responsibility of ensuring that the guidelines as per the policy or the rules stipulated by the policy are being followed, and whether you also monitor whether they are becoming obsolete or not, so that you can renew them. Yeah.
But no, I mean, here I am. I have, you know, my shop, or I'm a fish farmer. We've had all of them on this show. I work with my wife and my 3 sons, and probably, you know, a cousin and a relative from the village and that kind of thing, and probably a neighbor's kid. That's how we run our business. I'm trying to figure out how, you know, this can work out for me in that kind of setup, because a number of entrepreneurs actually sit within that particular space.
Yes. Thanks, Charles. The most, that when a business is young, that's the best time to try internal controls.
Okay.
Yes. Why? Because the money is still little. When even the shilling goes off, you can detect it. If I have a pond of fish and I put, you know, 1,000 or 500 fish fingerings, I know I expect 500 mature tilapia or mature Nile perch. So if I have 10 less, I'll detect immediately that something has gone amiss.
Missing.
So the one who has been looking after the pond will be answerable. Did you find a few floating in the course of these fish growing? Do we have birds which come and dive in and take some fish? So when the institution is younger, that's even the best time to put in place those internal controls and utilize them, because you have opportunity to play around with stuff without causing collateral damage. So, said an example, you and your wife and a cousin and a neighbor's son are running a small business. The first thing is for you to describe what roles each of you is going to play.
Okay.
Yes. So, assuming it is a fish business, it means you may say, okay, my role is to look for money to invest and to get land where we are going to put the fish ponds, and also to get market for the fish. My wife's role is to feed the fish. My neighbor's role is to slash. My neighbor's son's role is to slash around the fish ponds. My cousin's role, since he's good with swimming, is for harvesting the fish.
The fish. And I'm envisaging a situation where Madame fails to feed the fish and I have to fire them.
It is also...
It's well stipulated in the policy.
It's also fine.
Yes.
You know, all those things happen.
Yeah.
And you should expect them. Yeah? Just like if you know you're born, you must know you will die at some point.
Yeah.
The issue is when and how prepared you are.
Yes.
But
it's a given.
Coming and exiting one has already happened, the other one is waiting to happen.
Yes.
So it's not about how you feel about it. No, it is about whether it will happen or not. So once we have clarified what role each one is going to play in the fish business, then we document it.
Yeah.
At that point, you're doing job descriptions.
Okay. Okay. Even at that level.
You're putting input into your HR manual.
Yeah.
Each one's role is clear. Once you've done it, you can even put targets. Because you're a business, you want to make money.
Yeah.
You can even say, okay, marketing, the money to invest is this we need, Daddy will bring. Fishing, the fish has to be fed 5 times, Mommy will do it. If she's too busy to do it, then we can see who among us has time so that you can also come in when she's away and you also help.
Yeah.
You are starting to have that clarity. The one who harvests the fish maybe harvests once in 3 months or once in 2 months or once in 6 months. Then we can say, in the time when you're not harvesting fish, why don't you add your effort to Mommy and you also feed the fish? But there is very, very, very certain clarity regarding what each one does when they wake up.
Thank you, Noah.
Yeah.
And I think you've actually made a very important point, because a number of our small businesses, when you talk to them, they're like, you know what, I'm too small. I mean, look at me, it's just me, my wife, and the children. Why do I need a human resource manual or policy for that matter? And I think it's now coming out clearly. The smaller, actually, it's easier for a smaller operator to come up with this, documents and policies. And I think you've picked quite something very, very important there. Now, I want us to move to the area of procurement. Very, very important for business operations, because, for a number of, especially the small and micro, you'll find that the owner is the man who signs on that check. Is the one who controls the finances here and there, and is the one who determines what needs to be bought, where, and that kind of thing. Yes. So, break for us what is in this, internal control or control called procurement.
Yes.
And I really want you to have both the big guy and the small guy in perspective.
Okay, thanks. So, again, everything starts from the policy itself. And then the manual to operationalize the policy. So, as an institution, you must have a policy.
Or a business.
Yes, or as a business, you must, or a company, or an organization, you must have a procurement policy. And a manual under it that shows people how they should buy. Let me give you an example. Like I said, as a small institution, you even need internal controls more for your survival.
Because every
than a big one.
penny counts a lot more at that level than...
Yes, but the other big risk is that you're starting. You can't even hire the experts who will come with their expertise and say, this is how things should be done. You're not going to hire a master's holder of 20 years experience to be a CEO. You're actually a group of friends, or sometimes it is a family, who have said, there is a business opportunity in this space, let's go and exploit it. So you don't have the expertise. And that's why we are saying you must start from appreciating the good practices you must have to ensure
they give you
that
a bit of cover and fall back.
Exactly. You don't lose the little savings you have, which you're going to start with, but also to ensure that you start growing when you're sure of where you're going. So back to the procurement processes and the procurement policies within a business. For example, we may want to buy a generator, maybe when there is load shedding and we are in the middle of processing, our product, our wheat or our millet or our milk, we need a generator. How do you ensure that you are not cheated in the market? Because remember, you don't have even expertise in engineering. You don't know whether it should be a 3-phase or... So the most obvious thing to do is to have a policy, which you can get. By the way, all these policies I'm mentioning, if you go online, they are free downloads you can get from open information sources, which at least show you the basic things, the controls you need to have in place. Then you can contextualize. You can just come in and edit and contextualize to your institution. But most of these tools are really available. But if you also don't have it, there are a lot of resources. There are business development services providers out there who can give them to you. So back to the procurement policy. If I'm going to buy a generator, I don't have electrical engineering, mechanical engineering expertise to determine what generator I need. The policy should help. And the policy will tell you things such as get bids from maybe 2 or 3 suppliers of generators.
Yeah.
So I'll know in Uganda, the leading suppliers of generators, or in my district, are 1, 2, 3 people. I'll go there. I tell them I need a generator that can power my equipment, which require this voltage. Give me a quotation for a generator I may need. So they will tell you, Noah model generator is this. Charles model generator is this amount of money. So when I'm making a decision, therefore, on which generator to buy, I'm sure I'm covered.
And they're giving you specifics of what it does. You know, I hear you.
Thank you so much. There is no risk of saying, oh, you bought it at 50 million or 10 million or 1 million. The same one, you could have got it at 100,000. There isn't that risk. But because you're just following a set of good business practices relating to procurement. So it's again not a feel-good thing. It's a be safe thing. So you're getting the generator type you want, but you're getting it in good time. But again, you're getting it at the best price. Now again, you're talking about value for money. So I have so there is no one is going to come and say they cheated you. I'll say, why are you saying they cheated me? Then, because you say, I got quotes from the generator dealers around town, and the best option at the least cost possible was this. So yourself.
No, that is very, very important, because I have this mill up country in mind. Guy moves from up country, he's looking for a certain mill. He's going to spend about 50 million, 60 million, 100 million. And many a time you see, you know, he's not, I mean, he's just hitting the street. They tell him maybe along Chiseka Market or along Bombo Road, you'll find the suppliers, and he's just moving all over the place. In fact, from what you're explaining, I can see that you can even be within the comforts of your premises, whether in Guru or Jinja, and then you issue out this, you know, bid, and you have these guys coming in to actually want to supply. Because the reason why they open those shops is they want to sell. Because this guy will import that mill from China or wherever to Kampala, but he needs the buyers. I think that's a very, very important one. Especially for the, like I said, the micro and small operator. Probably the medium to large guys know what to do, and they have some of these processes. But in case they don't, it's the reason why we have this show, the X-ray. That's why we are now breaking down some of these aspects. I think that's very important. So beyond
perhaps,
that,
perhaps on the procurement,
again,
that is what I've tried to briefly touch is on how you acquire.
How you buy.
What you want to acquire. But there's also the side of disposing. This generator we have depreciated it maybe by 20% every year. So at around 5 years, we want to dispose it off. How do you dispose it off? To ensure that the manager of the procurement department doesn't come and say, since it is no longer of value and we think we need a new one, I can take this one, it is okay. Again, the same policy, we will tell you how you dispose it off to create room for
the new one.
A new one. So these policies are not magic. They are not things you do to make people feel good or to have, you know, the shelves within the manager's office stuffed with the nicely printed papers and booklets. These are tools you need to use on a daily basis. They reduce the headache. They allow you to take leave. You can say, you can
instead
say,
of being all over the place,
you can say, I have an assistant. He knows how we
do things.
He knows how we dispose of things.
That's another one.
He or she knows how we hire staff. She knows how we discipline those who are disciplined. She knows how, you know, how we report when there are ends, how we plan when there is beginning. So when it is time for leave, you only do your leave notes. Charles, you'll be in charge of this. Noah, you'll be in charge of this. Andrew will be in charge of this. Lynette will be in charge of this. You know, Alan will be in charge of this. And you know, you're sure.
Yeah.
The rest is monitoring. Yeah. So these internal controls are not things of exotic and very, you know, already overgrown or big institutions, national level, even at the household level, even at the cottage industry level that you have in your garage or in your backyard. Even on that 1 acre or half an acre or quarter acre, you know, garden of yours, you can have those controls.
Very good. Thank you very much, Noah. I think that has been quite clear, dear viewers, the importance, because every day we talk about being structured as business operators. I mean, we see quite a number of business people who barely even have time to eat. I mean, you go downtown, you see this man in a shop, they bring lunch, and the evening tea at 5 finds the lunch which was bought at 1 on the table, because he simply has no time to even eat. And it goes even beyond just that. We never have time to even rest as business people, because everything rotates around you. Whenever something happens, you have to just figure it out there and then and come up with an answer. There's nothing like a structure to follow. You can't delegate, because, I mean, you can't delegate when you don't have a structure, because the person you're going to give the responsibility is going to ask, now where do I begin? So viewers, you've seen the importance of having, you know, we call them controls, but they feed into the bigger plan that we talked about, and it's all part of the aspiration of having your businesses structured. Now, we're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll touch the controls of operations, which is very, very important, and then relationship with other stakeholders. And we'll be picking your questions. I'm seeing quite a number of them coming in, and my producer is telling me the phone calls are also, the line is blazing, but we'll pick that after this very short commercial break. Dear viewers, welcome back. We are on the Business X-Ray. We thank our partners, of course, the Ministry of Finance, Enterprise Uganda, Uganda Insurance Association, and ABI. And today, we have a business development service expert from ABI. Noah is actually trying to break down for us the importance of internal business controls. We've always talked about, like I said before we went for the break, the importance of being structured as a business operation. And with that, of course, we talked about the importance of the business plan, having a business plan. And then within that, we have these controls. We talked about the human resource controls, financials, procurement controls. And then before we went for the break, no, I wanted us to touch a bit about operations. It's a very, very important, because now that is the heart. I mean, it's the day-to-day operations of these businesses. It's a headache for a number of people. What can you say about controls in that space?
Thanks, Charles. Again, you know, what the biggest problem regarding the headaches you're mentioning is the chaos that is coming from each department.
Okay.
Now, remember, when we are starting from where the business doesn't have, for example, good policies and manuals governing how staff are managed, governing how processes are managed, governing how programs are managed, governing how you know, the plans of the institution come into play and are utilized. Then here comes the day of operations. Everyone has come to work. Chaos must ensue.
Mayhem.
Yes. Because you have a team of people who have specific expertise.
Yeah.
Interacting with colleagues who also have specific expertise, but there is no clarity regarding how each one should behave. So the work environment becomes chaotic.
Okay.
For example, I may not know where to take my requisition if I want to go to the field. Because perhaps there is no clarity about where I should go. I may not know the threshold. How much money can I request for at one go? How much is too much? How little is too little? So your operations are now everything integrated. how is the procurement department interacting with the marketing department? We need to procure, to get in a service provider for billboards on which we are going to print what we are marketing. For example, that is a service or a product or an output from procurement department, purchasing of billboards, which is needed by the marketing department. But are we clear on how the procurement buys things? From the marketing side, are we clear on how and what we want to market? Do we need a billboard, or we need door-to-door? Or we need direct marketing where someone walks in, approaches NTV and says, I have content which viewers need, and we would like to partner with you. So the other policies, the other manuals, the other guidelines, which each department must have and abide by, determine how each one interacts with each other. For example, if we know we have a four-stage requisition process, the user in the department writes a request, the head of the department approves the request, then the head of the department sends it to a committee that reviews the requisition, and then the committee passes it before it is signed off by the managing director, so that the procurement is done. All those should be clear.
And it doesn't matter how, because I'm imagining we are 3 people in our company.
Perfect. We are 3, but there is always one who wants the thing and who needs support from those who they work with.
Okay.
Yes. So then it should be clear. Even if you are one person, by the way, you should take notes and have clarity. The business is going to grow. There is no business in this world which they start with no ambition of growth. So if you started with one staff, if it was a business you started in your garage as an individual, maybe if I'm doing a packaging material, I go buy paper, I cut it and do paper bags and sell. And maybe I do a good job, and 1 year down the road, I have 100 people who want paper bags for me, and I must have 4 full-time staff. I must have clarity on how I'm going to bring them in. I must have clarity on how I'll be buying more paper bag raw material and how I'll be letting out those we have made.
Good point, Noah. Now, there is now, lastly, the aspect of relating with others, because, you know, businesses, we encourage business people to build networks, links. Sometimes it's with suppliers, potential buyers, but even it could be with government agencies. What kind of controls do we have there? What are we looking at?
Thank you for that. First and foremost, as you start a business, you must know who the stakeholders are. But it's not only about knowing who they are. You must also have clarity regarding what each of those stakeholders do. For example, if I'm going to develop a processing plant, which requires that I should get a certificate from NEMA, the National Environmental Management Authority, then it means that I must know the process of applying for that certificate. If conducting an impact evaluation, an environmental impact assessment, rather, is a requirement, I must plan for it and do it in time, so that at the time when I need my license or certificate, then I have the necessary documentation. So as an institution, you must invest time and resources in networking and also appreciating the roles of each stakeholder. If I take the agricultural value chain as an example, you'll find that, for example, I'm a processor. I have a poultry farm. But my poultry farm needs feeds. Which feeds should be fit for consumption for my animals? If the feeds include maize, it means maize should be free for example, of aflatoxins.
Yeah.
What does that mean? The company which I'm buying those feeds from should have their feeds certified by the National
Authority
of Bureau of Standards. So as I approach the company to buy which is selling the feeds, I'll be looking out for those things. On the packaging of the feeds, is there a quality mark? Is there a UNBS mark? Huh? So meaning that
you're meeting the standard, the threshold.
Yes, the standards have been addressed and met. There is no risk to my birds, but also no risk to the human beings,
the users,
or the people who are consuming the eggs or my chicken. So you must know. It's not being in business is one thing that kicks laziness out of you. You have to be awake. Every step you make should be calculated, should be assessed. The risks there should have been appreciated, and mitigants for each of those risks put in place to ensure that the business is safe. The market which is consuming the product or service from you is also safe, and they are getting it at the convenience they need. And that's only when profitability and sustainability can be achieved.
Thank you, Noah. And viewers, that's how, respecting all these structures that we've talked about, you can relate with the serious people in the business world like Noah. Noah as an individual, but then also the institution he represents. Every day we talk about the importance of building networks in business and why it's important to actually relate to particular stakeholders within the area where you're operating. And you can't just walk there, the way you are. I think what COVID-19 has proved to us is that you can no longer do business as usual. You can't do business by default. If you are lucky to have survived a couple of years, today you really have to up your game. Structure everything, think through it. Now, this is the time when I want to involve you, the viewers. So the line is on screen. For those that can call in, please drop us a line. Noah is here to answer your questions. I'm sure you've gotten enough background at what we're talking about. But before maybe I pick any callers, I have someone on Facebook. She's called Brenna. She's wondering, is it good to choose your friend or relative, when you're beginning your journey in business?
Okay, thank you, Charles, and the viewer for the question. There is no problem with who you choose. How you're related with the person you choose to do business
is not a problem.
Is not a problem. The problem is, or the question you should ask yourself, does this person have the skills and competencies that I need to achieve what I want to achieve? As me, the investor in the business, but also as the business itself. If the person you're bringing in does not guarantee that they will do for you what you need as a business, then I wouldn't advise you to hire them. What you can instead do to help them out is train them if they are okay with the option of being trained, so that they're able to appreciate what it is that you're trying to do. Once they are there, then they can come in and work.
Okay.
Yes, and there are, people have gone about it quite smartly to avoid, the familiarity and the rest. If I know, or if someone knows he has a colleague who has a business, he or she may recommend this person to go there if the person is qualified. So that they get a job, because they are not coming to you just because they want to work for you. They are coming to you because they need money and they think your relationship with them is going to give them the job. So if you can get them a job elsewhere where their skills fall, no problem. If they come in and you think they are qualified to work, good. As they settle in, introduce them to the internal controls. Let them know that office opens at 8, closes at 5. I have targets to achieve as a marketing manager, as a procurement officer, as a reception, not the boss's son, not the MD's girlfriend, not the godparent of one of the board members. And the rest. So we can maintain the relationships. But above all, let's maintain the business.
The business.
If what you're doing, everything you're doing is for maintaining the business, you'll get it right. Good.
Now, no, I have MYN is saying, in comparison with the Asians, this is a WhatsApp message, why and why is it, what is it that they do different to sustain their businesses for generations and generations? With all the books we have at our disposals, we seem to be failing.
Oh, that's a good one. So there is something you need to appreciate about how we work and about how the non-us work. Look at the display. Which shops in Kampala open first in the morning? Which shops in Kampala close last in the evening? When you want the best customer care, where do you go? And it doesn't matter the language which the salesperson is speaking. Whether it is English, whether it is Luganda, whether you'll find a foreigner struggling to learn the local language so that when you're going there to bargain, you're comfortable. How many of us have gotten to that level of appreciating that the customer is king? And when they come at my business premises, they should be comfortable. But look at how those we are wondering how they do it behave. I can tell you for free, any day I walk to a shop of an Indian, I'm sure I will not be insulted. I'm sure he is not going to say, Tomalira Budde. I'm sure he's not going to say, Ezo sente, zitwala walala. I'm sure he's not going to say, Ononaye. I'm sure his face is not going to show me that they are displeased with my presence. I'm just trying to give you a few pointers of how badly we perform at customer care. But above all, these people are very calculative. A Ugandan will tell you, you'll tell them, oh, I'm giving you 10,000 on this item. He knows, for a Ugandan, he will decide, I want profit of 5,000 on this item. So it means 10,000, I only earn a profit of 1,000, not 5,000. So instead of saying, why don't I sell 10 items of the same, earn 1,000, making it 10,000, as opposed to selling none, waiting for a customer who's going to give me 15,000.
I hear you.
Coming back to what? To the other internal control of a business plan. How much money must you make? That will push you. You will not want to miss any customer, but do you even have a business plan? So when you put it back to the Uganda context, rather than crying, you know, in Africa we cry more than we look for solutions.
Yeah.
That's why we always have scapegoats.
Lamenting.
Yes. Yeah? You always have a reason for failing. But the other people are excelling at what you're failing at.
Yeah.
Have you taken time to look and ask yourself why, when you're saying 2020 is the worst year, shops are stocking and restocking and restocking. People are buying stuff.
Good point, Noah.
So let's learn. Let's visit them. Let's see what they do different from what we do and learn. But above all, let's be active. Most of us want again to go back and say Indians, say Chinese. But if I asked you, by the way, how do they behave differently from you? You can't quickly even answer that because you've not taken time to study. So once we study them, how they do business, how they network, how they access what you call the cheaper sources of capital,
yes,
and start to prepare ourselves and position ourselves to either compete with them or to even outcompete them. Since we are operating from home, then the story will change.
Will change.
Yeah.
I have Martha. Martha is saying, as a new line manager, she is a new line manager. What can I do with a staff who does not like work but stays on WhatsApp most of the time and fellow staff have given up from advising him or her, because when they do, they are hated and members seek for favor from a higher authority. Please advise. I think this is not a hypothetical situation.
Nice one. I would say a nice one.
Yes.
So that one is an easy one to address. Being on WhatsApp means you have time to be on it. And what that means, therefore, is that if you are their supervisor, go and revisit their job description.
Yeah.
They could be demotivated. Maybe the kind of work they are to do when they come for work at the company premises just requires 30 minutes. But they are there from 8 to 5. Yeah. So they have a net of 7.5 working hours to do other things. And then sometime towards the close of the business day, or in morning as when they've just come, then they can fix the company business in 30 minutes. Yeah. So you can enrich their job.
That's a good one.
Yes. Or if there are things at the workplace that they don't like, which cause them to switch off and take solace in WhatsApp, talk about them. Maybe there are staff who are nagging around. They mind other people have business. So if that is the issue, some people like privacy. Give them a workstation that allows them to concentrate on their work. Yeah. So rather than looking at the person, let's look around them. Are they comfortable with their job? Are they adequately qualified? Or we are loading too much demand on this person who has less capacity to deliver. Once all those issues have been ticked off, then the person will actually start to behave. Very good. Yeah.
Now I have messages of a compliment here, Noah. I have Felix from Nebi. He's saying, please bring today's guest back next week. I've not had enough of him. So are you with us next week, Noah?
We'll see about that.
And I have Stephen here. Stephen is saying, rather, yes, Noah, you are just too good. You have really woken me up. And, well, whoever is asking my questions. God bless you all. Now, Noah, again, very important, just to put all that in perspective, because I know ABI, you do quite a lot. You gave us a preamble of what you do to support businesses, especially those in agribusiness. How do you help businesses, that are in need of some of the aspects we've tried to break down? Like structures are here and there, controls are here and there, business planning is here and there. What is your role, in the context of some of the issues that we've tried to distill?
Thank you. We, as ABI, we take a holistic approach of an institution. Actually, if you look at the kind of products and services we offer, we are actually trying to ensure that no one fails to succeed. No business, no agribusiness fails to succeed because of either their challenges internally or externally. So for both financial institutions and the institutions which are the SMEs and other organizations which are in value chains development, we offer them business development support.
Okay. And by business development support?
That is a non-financial service, which we offer to ensure that all these things are in place. Oh, okay. So you may come to ABI and you have a very innovative product you've brought. Interesting things. You have bean flour. You have fortified maize flour. You have technologies for increasing yield. It could be soil testing, it could be water conservation, it could be management of nutrients, it could be pest and disease control, it could be. So when you come to us, we appreciate your idea based on the requirements that we've laid out. Usually when we are inviting people to apply for support, we advertise funding windows. So, they are always in newspapers. You can also go on our website, ntiv.co.ug and get all this information regarding the requirements for you to apply to work with us or to partner with us.
And this support, is it loans, is it grants, what is it exactly?
Yes, so the BDS support is usually tagged to a project. So you could be benefiting from a grant on the value chain development side, or you could be having a financial institution could be given a line of credit, which is basically a loan to a financial institution to on lend. For example, you may start a circle in Gulu or in Kabale or in Chisoro, and you don't have enough savings from members. So when you come in, we'll give you some money to top up on your savings as a loan, so that you can have enough capacity on lend to your people to do agribusiness. So when you come in and we find that, you don't have good systems for managing the money, you don't have good systems for integrating the finances with the borrowers and the management of the institution, or we realize that you have a factory but you're not managing sewage from the factory well, then we come in and offer you the business development support, which is specific to the needs you have.
That's
you could just not be managing your stuff well, and they are always running away, and your operations are not smooth because you have to pause to recruit. When after inducting, they leave again. So we come in and we give you specific. ABI does not give blanket business development support. We give you specific. If your procurement systems are weak, we work with you to strengthen those. If your HR, the way you manage staff is not good, we work with you. If you don't have a business plan and you're operating without good clarity in terms of targets, in terms of when you want to achieve what, we work with you to develop, but also to ensure that you utilize. Like I said, most of the institutions in Uganda today, the companies, SMEs, even some NGOs, even some financial institutions are started on the basis of wanting to save for financial security, for example, or the basis of solving a market problem. But the founders are not experts, remember. And as the institution grows, then they start requiring to professionalize and institutionalize good business practices. So that's why we come in as ABI and give you the kind of support you need. So our spectrum of business development support can range from good governance to financial systems of financial management, to marketing in case that's where your problem is, to if you're looking at a household, we have even gone to as far as at looking at how to train people on to do farming as a family business. A business you're doing, as a family business. Yes. So we'll come in and say, okay, yes, Dad, you want to maintain your position as the managing director of whatever you're doing.
Mr. Boji Households Inc.
Yes. But this is how MDs behave. So we are not telling you to get out. We are also telling you, Madam is supporting you in the finances department. She needs a salary. Because if she was working out there for someone else, she would be getting something monthly. Put it in a place for her. You want to hire your children to work with you, okay, as a family business. But if they were at NTV or at Stanbic or at ABI, they would be earning something. So if there is some money we are realizing as a family from this business, let them earn. Because they have needs to take care of. They need MBs. They need airtime.
That's an interesting one, Noah. Because,
so,
from what we see, again, sorry to cut you short on that, especially in a typical household, in the countryside, you realize probably they have a coffee plantation, in their backyard. It's the woman with the children that are actually toiling day in and out, to cultivate, to prune, to pick the coffee, and to dry, which is, by the way, very, they are quite cumbersome tasks. So when the time comes to sell, it's the guy, now the head of the family, the MD, appears,
marketing manager.
Appears. And is the guy who negotiates the price, and is the guy who picks the money. And from that point on, you don't have to ask questions. You stay in your place as the woman, as the child, and that kind of thing. So are you telling me you go up to that level?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we know when the institution starts to suffer. Remember those people you're talking about. Are the shareholders of this institution or of this business. So if our business is that 1 acre of coffee or half an acre, daddy has a share, mommy has a share. That's why when daddy goes away, God forbid if dad dies, you won't find another man coming from somewhere else and claiming the coffee plantation. No, they will say now the children and the mother are going to take charge. If one child goes or if the mother goes, again those who are remaining, that is always an indication of shareholding by virtue of their birthright. So no one should forget that.
At that level.
Yes. So we come in and teach you. When you're working as 4 kids, wife and dad, that's a labor force of 6. Let the what is coming out be shared. Why? Because you as a man, if you stay in this plantation and the other 5 go away because they are no longer sharing, will you still be able to produce? Will you realize the sales?
I'm afraid we've come to the end. The time is not our best ally. We're almost nearing the end. I'd like to pick your last thoughts briefly in 1 minute. What could be your last, comment about this? Yes,
my parting shot is BDS or Business Development Support Services are needed by everyone because the business environment is changing every day. COVID is here, it will go tomorrow. Next will be change of tax policies. You'll always need to advance, upgrade, update. You should always be ready to consult because no one knows it all. And that's, as you consult, whoever you're consulting is offering you a business development service on whatever you're consulting them about. So let's go for these services and let's be ready to change because change must happen anyway, whether you're not comfortable with it or not. And as soon as you are conversant and ready and open with seeking knowledge and assistance from the business development support services providers, then you continue on your trajectory to growth and to sustainability. That is what I would encourage anyone who is in the space of doing business to always do.
Thank you very much, Noah. It's the very reason why we are here on the Business X-Ray, to bring you experts like Noah, to really distill for you some of these important aspects. Aspects that help you formalize your operations. Of course, Noah, ABI works with different partners, including Enterprise Uganda, among others. And today and last week, we're trying to look at those services that you need to support your businesses. The previous week, we're talking about insurance. Today, we're talking about business development services. Now, next week, we're going to again bring our entrepreneurs, the people that are doing business on the other side, that have benefited from some of these services, and they will be giving us testimony on what has come out of, their experiences on what came out of that kind of support, so that you're able to pick and really understand what we're talking about and why it's important for your business operation as you're watching. So again, I would like to thank our partners, ABI, Enterprise Uganda, Minister of Finance, Uganda Insurers Association, for being, part of the show, and for you, of course, our viewers who are always tuning in and asking those very constructive questions. I've been your host, Charles Boji. Until next time, I'd like to wish you a very good evening and God bless.